My name is Dr. Jan Gurley, and I am Director of Public Health Emergency Preparedness and Response. I'm also the Deputy Health Officer for San Francisco's Department of Public Health. We plan for, respond to, and then try to help people recover from disasters and emergencies. It ranges from cyber attacks to the earthquake we all fear in California to extreme air quality events. Seniors are uniquely vulnerable to climate change, and so it's really important for seniors to prepare for issues around climate change. Older adults are very susceptible to heat injury, and the disproportionate number of deaths after an extreme heat event are among seniors. And that's true whether it's Kyoto, Japan, New York, or San Francisco. When it comes to a combination of heat and air, which will happen one day it'll be really warm no matter where you live, and there'll be smoke in the air. And we really hope there also won't be a power shutdown. But if we get all three, the most important issue to deal with in that moment is heat. We actually live at a tiny range of temperature safely. We do great with cold. You can go all the way down to 0, and as long as you're wearing a big fluffy down jacket, or you take even minimum precautions, you're doing great. But when you start living above 100 degrees, it gets really dangerous for a lot of people, and the symptoms can be subtle. There's not a punch list of these symptoms that we're going to require you to have before you say you have heat stress. If you're getting stressed by the heat, you're getting stressed by the heat, and we want you to get somewhere cool. Getting chills when the weather outside is warm, feeling a little nauseated, feeling dizzy, those are things that are really not okay when it's 95 degrees outside. Once you have heat stroke, you must be in a hospital and you must get 911 level services. Heat is a very rapid, lethal problem, and so it's very important to shelter from the heat in ways that you can. There are cooling centers that are available in almost every area of America. And the ways we know that they work are when they're places that people tend to want to go to anyways. We found out from some of the people in Nevada that they have a lot of attendance at their cooling centers. And the reason why is because they're casinos. So if you have a place that you go to normally, that you get some joy from, or you're used to going there, and they have air conditioning, that's where you want to think of that as your cooling center. But this time, plan to spend the day. We tend to send out a message that says, hydrate appropriately, or drink enough water. What we don't ever say is drink lots of water. That's because if you're on a diuretic, or if you have congestive heart failure, if you have some kidney problems, drinking tons of water is actually not safe for you in particular. So what we want you to do is make sure you're drinking enough to honestly urinate at a normal level. You want to make sure you're not getting dehydrated for whatever your normal is. The last is to do common sense things that we can forget sometimes if we only have sporadic heat waves. Things like only stand in the shade, don't stand in the sun. Wear light colored clothing. During a very remarkable heat wave in France, they found that it was actually predictive of survival to have worn light colored clothing. And one of the last most important steps that people often don't think about is make sure your bedroom moves to where it's coolest. We're experiencing day-to-day impacts from climate change. Some of the wildfire events we've had in San Francisco, where we inherited the smoke from a different area, those are also the impact of climate change. Air quality tends to have a minimal effect over time in terms of people's health. No one will say it's okay for you to be exposed to all that smoke. And what we hope is that you can get to a cleaner airspace, wait it out, and then your lungs will start to do air exchanges the same way your kitchen does after you've burned something. But the most important thing when there's heat and air combined is that people pay attention to the heat, which may mean that you hear a health official like me telling you to open your windows and turn on the fan, even though the air is really smoky. The other important thing about air quality issues like wildfire smoke is that we are not recommending for people that they get an N95 respirator. Those are very specific medical devices that were created for people to use in the operating room and to prevent horrible diseases like Ebola from spreading. They're only known to be effective when they're tightly fitted, person can't have any facial hair, and they clog as you breathe through them. So it actually increases the work on your cardiovascular system significantly. And so in general, we are strongly recommending that people create a cleaner airspace in their home or go to a cleaner air center instead of relying on that mask. And it's important to know too that bandanas, or those little yellow pleated masks that have a string around your ear, they do nothing for you. And so the danger of those kind of things is a false sense of security. So a prolonged power shutdown is a new fear for those of us in disaster preparedness and planning and response. It is now an issue where a power company may shut down the power, and when they do, it will take somewhere between 2 and 4 days or more to be restored. Now, for someone who is dependent on a motorized wheelchair, someone who lives in a building with an elevator, someone who goes to dialysis where they may not have a generator, these are very serious situations to find themselves in. When we have a prolonged power shutdown for whatever reason, we want to make sure that people are prepared. This is where having signed up for alerts will be very important. It may also be that you realize that if you are dependent on your motorized wheelchair and you have an extra battery or the ability to get one, that may be the thing to do. We also now know that some simple basic things like your toilet and your water may be dependent on power. So if you can't get your water to flow or your toilet to flush, do you have plastic bags and a 5-gallon container to put waste in until the power returns? And then finally, many of us are aware that when the power goes out for several days, we're thinking about that refrigerator and freezer really early. So it's really important to try, in a weird way, to not be frugal. If your refrigerator has been room temperature, it's not safe. A simple, easy step that people can take now is to put a gallon jug of water in their freezer. If it is melted, nothing in the freezer should be eaten. But in general, we want people to take a prolonged power shutdown seriously, and especially if it is occurring during a heat wave and an air quality event like wildfire smoke. We know for a fact that trusted information saves lives. We also know that seniors and older adults, though, only about 40% of them have signed up for their local government alerts. Those are very important to get. They'll give you a heads up and allow you to plan and allow you to reach out to your social network and your friends and even fact check the information with an agency you might be in contact with or with your local health provider. In general, we tell everyone to make a go bag when it comes to taking steps to protect yourself. And what a go bag means is you've taken the time to think about if someone knocked on your door from the fire department and said, you have to go now, what would you need to be okay for 3 or 4 days? There's a joke or a song in preschools called Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes. For seniors, I would love to change that to eyes, ears, teeth, and toes, because you really want to make sure you don't forget your glasses, you have those very expensive hearing aids, you've got your dentures, which might be in a different room, and that your toes represent any mobility aid that you need. There's so many instances of people getting to a safe place and being sheltered, but not having those things. And that can really impair a person's ability to function, communicate, understand what's going on around them. And of course, for seniors and older adults and anyone with chronic disease, we feel very strongly that it's important to try to have some of your medications. And if not your medications, then at least a list of your medications. I would love if seniors and older adults, pretty much all of us, could start thinking of our lives in terms of seeking safety. Because safety is a form of self-care and it's a form of nurturing. And without it, I think we all take a hit in our health. I believe that we owe our seniors a lot. And what we really owe them is the ability to thrive and be safe in their senior years.